Hi, I am working and having experience of 8 plus years. So today we will see what is C Sharp class and method. So before proceeding this, I will strongly recommend to see chapter 1 of this series. Okay, now what is C Sharp class? In very simple term or in one line definition, class is used to organize our code. And what's the syntax? Access modifier, then class and then class name, open curly braces and closing curly braces. Here class is the reserved keyword. So move to the Visual Studio, and we have seen that to create a new project we will have to click on file, then new and then project. Either we can use this shortcut key Control Shift N. So I will use this time Control Shift N. Control Shift N. Thereafter give the select the console app .NET framework, then give the name of our application. I will give my first class, then click on OK. It will create my first class application. Name of our application is my first class. Okay, so we have seen already in previous chapter that what is this namespaces, what is the use of that and how to use them, and this is our class. So I will create our own new class, okay, instead of using this existing. So we can minimize this. So our class, what's the syntax? Access modifier. So access modifier is public, then class is the reserved keyword, so class, then class name. Here class name can be anything, this class name can be anything but should be meaningful. Okay, so I will use for now my class, and then open curly braces and closing curly braces, open and closing curly braces. So this is our class as per our syntax. Okay, now method, it is a block of code that perform a specific task. So what's the syntax? Access modifier. So method will be inside class. So first is access modifier, so I will give public, then return type I will give void, and then method name, so I will give my method, and then opening and closing bracket. So opening closing bracket, and then opening curly braces and closing curly braces. So this is our method. So what is this access modifier? We will see in upcoming videos in very depth. So we having few access modifiers and how to use them we will see in upcoming videos, so don't worry about that. For now just we will see method, class and method. So this is our method, public void my method as per our syntax. Now method name can be anything but should be meaningful, like class name can be anything but should be meaningful. So I have given the name of my method. Method can have parameter or parameterless. What's the parameter? Inside this bracket, if you will giving providing any parameter, it means that this is parameter, but for now this is parameterless. If we want to provide any parameter, then we can provide like integer e, this is parameter. We can have more than one parameters like int b, so this is parameter. Okay, now it is the only void is the only return type which does not return anything. Okay, void is the only return type which does not return anything, so it is not returning anything and it is not giving any compiler error. So instead of void, if we will use any other return type, it will expect a return type. For example, if I will give string, then it will give compile time error. You can see compile time error, and it is expecting my class dot my method not all code path returns a value, because it is expecting to return of string type. So if I will return string type like hello, the error will be gone. You can see. In the same way, if I will give integer, then it will expect any integer return type, integer return value. So you can say here not all code path returns a value. So if I return any integer type, return for example 10, then error will be gone. Okay, so other than only void is the return type, it does not return anything. Okay, now we have seen class and method. Now we having a keywords static and non-static. Okay, static and non-static. So we will see in a few points. Both class and method can be either static or non-static. Okay, for now we will give the void return type. Now both class and method can be either static or non-static. So how to recognize class is static or not, or method is static or not? So if you will see, there is no static keyword used with this class. It means that this is non-static class. In the same way, we can see there is no static keyword with this method. So it means that this is non-static method. Okay, so it is the now. The second is, we have seen both class and method can be either static or non-static. If a class is marked as a static, if a class is marked as a static, static, this is the reserve keyword. Now this is a static class. Okay, so if a class is marked as a static, then methods inside this class must be a static. Okay, otherwise it will give compile time error. So we have seen, you can see this method is non-static, although our class is static. So it is saying if a class is marked as a static, then method inside this class must be static, otherwise it will give compile time error. And it is showing compile time error because it is expecting a static method. So if I will mark it as static, the error will gone. Public void static, void is showing error still. Static must precede the member. Oh, sorry. Before return type. Okay, so public static. Now error is gone. So if a class is marked as static, then method inside this class must be static, otherwise it will give compile time error. In other words, a static class cannot have non-static method. We have seen. Now if a class is non-static, okay, so we will, if a class is non-static, for example, we are creating a non-static class, public class my class, for example 2. Okay, so if a class is non-static, our class is non-static, okay, then it can have both static or non-static method. It can have both static or non-static method. So public, I will first create non-static method. So public void method 1, and I will copy and paste it again and give the name of this method is method 2 and mark it as static. Okay, now if a class is non-static, this is non-static class, then it can have both static or non-static method. So this is non-static method and this is a static method. Okay, now if a class is non-static, okay, if a class is non-static, so I will create another class to understand better, in better way. If a class is non-static, so this is our third class and this is non-static. If a class is non-static, then it can, if a class is non-static, then we will have to create instance of that class to access that methods. So first create a method inside this public void method 3. Okay, so it is saying if a class is non-static, then we will have to create instance of that class to access that method. So there is non-static class and I want to access of this method means this method in another class. Okay, means I want to access this method. So if I will go to access this method, so what it is saying? It is saying we will have to create instance of this class. So how to create instance of this class? Just use the class name, so class 3, okay, and give any variable name, any class name, for example any variable, any name, like I'm giving C is equal to new is the reserve keyword, and then again class 3 and then opening closing bracket. So this is the instance of this class. So it is saying if a class is non-static, then we will have to create instance of that class. So we have created the instance of this class 3 C is equal to new class 3, and by instance of this class we will access this method. So what is the method name? Method 3. So C dot method 3 will be accessed. C dot method 3 will be accessed. So it is saying if a class is non-static, then we will have to create instance of that class to access that method. What will happen if we will not create instance of this class and we will try to access this method? Then it will not be accessed. For example, if I will comment it, and for example if I try to access this with the class name class 3 dot, you can say we cannot access. Okay, now if a class is static, so create another class which will be static here, public, now static, and then class reserve keyword, and then name of class I will give 4. Okay, if a class is static, we have a static class, then there is no need to create an instance of that class to access that method. So first create a method inside this so that we can access this method. Public, for example void. Okay, if this is static, then method of this class must be static, otherwise it will give compile time error, we have seen. So public void method 4, it is giving error because it must be static, because class is static. Okay, now it is saying if a class is static, then there is no need to create an instance of that class to access that method, otherwise it will give compile time error. Okay, so we having a class, a static class, inside that we having a static class. Now I want to access this method. Yeah, means I want to access this method 4 of this class. So if I will try to the same way as we have seen in this case, it will give error. So what is saying, if a class is static, then there is no need to create instance of class. We don't have need to create an instance of this class. But still, if I will try to create instance of this class, it will give compile time error. We can see class 4, for example, CL is equal to new class 4. It will give compile time error because we cannot create instance of this class because this is static. So you can see here, cannot create instance of the static class. Okay, we cannot create. So how to access this method? So just by using the class name, you can see here, methods will be accessed by class name. Okay, only class name. So just remove what's the class name, class 4, and when we will press dot, it will be accessed. You can see class name. This time we do not need to create an instance of this class like earlier. Okay, class name. Note, if we will not provide any access modifier to class, for example, I will first, okay, for example, if we will not provide any access modifier, for example, I have removed this access modifier from the class. So if you will not provide any access modifier to class or method, then by default class modifier will be internal. So if I have not provided any access modifier with this class 4, then by default it is internal. Internal means this one. So I have told already that in upcoming videos we will see what is this access modifiers and what is the use of this. So by default it is internal because I have not provided any access modifier. In the same way, if I will remove this access modifier from method now, so by default it is private. So by default class access modifier is internal and method access modifier is private. Okay, and method access modifier will be private. So in upcoming videos we will see now access modifier. Okay, what is access modifier and what is the use of that, and thereafter we will see inheritance. So now subscribe this channel to get the latest upcoming tutorials. You can like, subscribe and share among your friends. So you can ask any query related to not delegate. You can ask any query related to this class and methods at below mail id fresher2coder@gmail.com. Definitely I will reply on the same mail. If you have any code that is giving any type of error or exception, you can send me that code also at the below mail id and I will reply on the same. Okay, so thank you for watching this tutorial.